Okay, this would be part one of the 3D printed Diamond Planet build. And we're going to start with the base. So we're going to start at the bottom and work our way up. So we're talking about, this is the base unit, but I think we need to start even before that. The bump and go drive and the wheels. Let's start with the bump and go drive wheels. So these would be the parts. Actually, these are the rear wheels, but these make up the bump and go drive wheels. Now this one has the D-lock, so it'll lock onto the motor shaft. As you're familiar with these, where they've got that D-shaped lock. So this one will drive all the time. I'll put a rubber O-ring in that groove to make a tire out of it. But the other one needs to have a slip clutch. And I decided I wanted to try a magnetic slip clutch on this one. You can see there's these holes, and I'm probably going to use 2 of them. Well, I put 4 in there just in case. But they're very small for holding 1 millimeter thick by 3 millimeters around neodymium magnets. And probably, imagine a magnet glued in that slot and a magnet glued in that slot. And then this piece here is the opposite. The side that's down on the table, so I can't show it to you, there are 4 holes that would line up with these. And this whole piece here would slip over. Well, actually it goes the other way around. This piece here slips over the top of that one. So when the magnets line up, the two will be locked together. But if it had to, the motor could keep running and this wheel could stop turning. So it's a slip clutch. And we need that in order for the bump and go to work. And so these parts will be put on the motor. And then the whole motor itself, let's see if we can find those images. Okay, there's a motor frame, bump and go frame. The whole TT motor, and I'm going to be using the 48-to-1, that's the easy to find motor, slides up in there, and there's 2 screw holes that screw it in. The wheels will sit in there, wires from the motor will come out the top of the stack. And one thing we do have to do to prep the motor in order to fit in there is you have to remove this this band that holds the motor in place and cut these little nipple parts off on both sides. The motor will be held in place by this when we assemble it. So I'm gonna move the camera down and we're gonna take a look at that. Let's see, can we pull out? And here we go. I think we're somewhat in the right area. So here you can see the units assembled, and I think with the shining light you can see there's 2 magnets here, and there are magnets that are visible, sort of visible on the inside. So that means that this whole wheel here can be magnetically locked, or if it had to slip, it could slip, and that's what we need. Whereas this wheel over here is always connected to the gear motor. If you can hear that. So this one will always be driving, and if this thing was going forward and it ran into a wall, if they both were driving, it would just sit there and grind away in the wall. But if this one can stop turning, which it can because of the magnetic clutch, this one would then be forced to rotate, and once it rotates, then the whole robot goes off in a new direction. And that's how we're going to do that. Just soldered on the 2 wires to the motor, tucked them up inside, and ran them out the top of the stack. Just like that. This whole piece here prints on the bed this way with no supports. You do have to clear the hole in the top of the stack. It has a single layer of filament across it so that it could print it with no supports. So once you take it off, you clean that little piece out. You prep the motor out in the open, slide it up into place, and then the 2 screws that are screwed in hold the motor in place. Alright, let's take a look at the whole main base, and that would be here. So here we have the whole base piece, and here it is printed. Here it is up there. Not that you really need to look at it on the screen when we've got it in person, right? So let's get back to in person. Now it's in two different colors because I started printing the part just in stock gray filament because it's like a primer color because I plan on painting this, but I ran out of gray and had to switch over to this white looking PLA to finish the part. That's fine. I've got more gray on order, and once it gets here then I'll start printing the other parts, so they'll be ready to go. In the front, we talked about in one of my earlier videos, I put in a place for putting in two flashing LEDs, and these are 5mm LEDs and they slide right in there. I've got them wired in parallel and two wires running back, not going anywhere right now with that. This vertical piece that you see in gray, this is a separate piece that's a clicker and a light switch for flashing the eye lights on and off. This is a piece of spring steel from an old wind-up toy, from a spring toy. And there's going to be a wheel that's on here that's going to drive a cam up to the arms to make the arms and the meter move, but also there'll be two lobes on that cam for causing the clicking and the flashing. So there's a piece of brass here where I'll solder one wire there, and I'll solder another wire to the clicker, and that'll just open and close the circuit to the eyes. Now I actually have temporarily put those two rear wheels that I showed you earlier, the idler wheels in the back, and they're just held in place with a couple of finishing nails. I'll be pulling the nails in those wheels out when I paint it, so I can keep the wheels black and not have them painted. But I wanted to show you where those sat. So then this whole device, contrivance, whatever you want to call it, it does have a lobe piece. The lobe we're going to have facing towards the front when we assemble this. I've got these two long wires that I got to deal with here, but basically, to show you how this is going to assemble, you stuff those wires up through here. And you can see how this piece would fit right in there, and it's free to turn. Now that lobe that I just showed you a second ago is right there. If it turns all the way around, it'll catch on a stop on this side, so the wheel can only go that far, or if it goes the other way, the wheel can only go that far. It's kind of important to the operation of the whole thing. There's this locking cap piece, which will go down over this whole part, pushes down, and will hold all that together. I guess I might as well just, I won't glue it. In the end it would get glued, but like I say, for now, because I have to paint this once I get some paint, so that will lock in there and hold this all together. Okay. If I can stop coughing long enough, we'll go on. This is an N20 type motor. It's a 15 RPM, very slow, makes it more powerful. This part's going to go up to the arms, but it fits right into here. As you can see, it'll push in. And now we can solder on back here to get to the power to it. And as this piece rotates, this big cam, you can see how it will pull on that clicker, and also how it would move this part as it rotates. I guess we'll end this video here since I can't stop coughing. But that's the base assembly. Next time we get together, I guess we'll talk about maybe the meter movement and some of the arm movement, and hopefully the rest of the gray PLA will arrive by then, and I can start printing the body halves.